Hello, everyone. Welcome to Get That Job workshop. To our room moderators, I want to say thank you for setting up and assisting in every way possible and being available after the session to answer any questions or give directions. To our customers, I want to say thank you for taking the time to attend the workshop to receive some valuable information to help you to get that job. We ask that you place your cell phones on silent to reduce any distractions. So this workshop will cover many important points obtaining to getting a great job. And there's so much information to cover in a short amount of time. So I do want to draw your attention to your handouts, which is your resource page. And you can investigate this information after the workshop. And you're welcome to stay after the workshop to explore using our computer resource center. So the handouts that you will have in front of you are the Get That Job resource list. And this is a list that you'll refer to for some of the websites and links that I'm talking about and things to help you during your job search. So the first list is your resource list. Your second is the Joe Oberon reverse chronological resume. So on the top of your form for Joe Oberon, you want to write reverse chronological. On the back of that page, it should be Miranda Lopez. So on the top of that form, you want to write functional resume. Your next document is Jamie Dungy. On that, you want to write combination resume. Your next document is completing an online job application. Behind that is the job application tips for completing job applications. And then you have the interview document, and behind that, the big interview. And your last document will be the interview checklist. So these are documents that you have available to you to do the research after this particular session. Find a job. Click. Wouldn't it be great if life was that simple that you can just click on a button that says find a job? And something to note, of all the job postings that companies post, 80% are never seen by the public. And that's important for you to know, because what that means to you and to us is that we need to plan to find out how to get these prime jobs. And the question is, do you have a plan? And there are many pre-steps to getting a job, possibly the job of your dreams. And we'll talk about that shortly. If you attended the career exploration workshop, you would have received a great list of information, researching and getting started in your career plan. You want to check with your room moderator to find out what times those particular workshops start. So the career exploration workshop, it uses a tool called onetonline.org, and it stands for Occupational Information Network, and it's sponsored by the U.S. Department of Labor. But on this particular site, it describes particular positions, and it's used by job seekers, HR professionals, just workforce in general. So this would be a great class for you to zero in on to just get started in your plan for your job search. So where do you start? Plan, and oh yeah, plan. Job searching is a job, and the way that it's done now is much different than the way that it used to be. So here you are at the beginning of a very promising path. The red carpet is rolled before you, and you may not realize it, but you have many opportunities that are in front of you for you to explore. And the question is, which one do you choose? All of them take work. None of the paths unfold in front of you, and there are many components to this particular process that we'll cover. So your career plan, we talked about 80% of jobs are not seen by the public, and you have to prepare a career plan. So with the career plan, the best place to start is a career exploration workshop. But one of the things that it talks about in that particular workshop is knowing yourself and explore your options. Just a little bit about knowing yourself. It may seem like you already know what you want to do, but perhaps you may not. But in this particular process, you want to discover what you like to do, what type of job do you like, what job have you held, and did you enjoy it, and what abilities do you possess or can you learn, which leads us to the next point here: explore your options. For exploring your options, you have two choices. You can continue on your current career path. If you're satisfied, you're satisfied. It's never too late for you to explore other options, but when you're satisfied, that's perfectly okay. And all you have to do is start your networking in the process. The second thing is figure out what it is that you want to do. If you haven't already, again, I like to just encourage you to register for the Career Exploration Workshop and find out from your room moderator when the next one would start. If you need to further your skills or just completely change the direction of your career plan, that would be the perfect session for you to take. And there's so many resources out there for reinventing yourself. You want to tap into those resources. There always are possible ways for you to fund your education. So just ask your room moderator how to obtain information to funding your career or your education, what the next steps would be. Next is networking. It's very important to network. That's one of the most important pieces of your job search. Remember, only 20% of jobs are seen by the public, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then compile knowledge and skills and experiences. And you would do this by creating a resume accompanied by a cover letter. And you want to have a variety of these in electronic folder. Because you'll switch or tweak from time to time your resume, it's best that you keep these in a folder online. It's also helpful if you would just keep text saved in a document online, and that way you can cut and paste that information as you need it. And this would be frequently used information when you are doing your job search, completing your applications. It's important for you to develop self-marketing skills. This is where it's up to you to tout your skills and greet a professional employer with a firm handshake. You are going to be marketing yourself. And the best thing to do is if you can create a 30-second elevator pitch to help you to be able to do that. The most important ending piece of the job career plan is getting that particular job. And this is just a simplified version of the career process. It all does take work. And in your handout on your career resource page, there are links that will help you through this entire process. So now that you have to create a plan or get started in creating a plan, you want to plan your job search. What is it that you're going to do? How are you going to get started? Remember, the first step in the process is knowledge about yourself, knowing your skills and your abilities, and how your transferable skills can apply to your future. Implement your career plan. Again, it takes work. Searching for work is work. It's important to research the company. In that process, this will help you during your interview. So when you research the company, you'll be able to talk a little bit more about what you know about the company. When you find a job that interests you, whether if it's on PA CareerLink, Indeed, Glassdoor, or LinkedIn, or any other job search engine, you'll be able to go to the company's website and then find out a little bit more about what the company does. That's pretty important. And then while researching the company, you'll be able to learn what employees have to say about the work environment for that particular company, how employers treat their customers and their employees. You do want to be cautious about taking to heart a lot of the reviews that you read. Some of them can be negative, and you want to make sure that you're looking for how you would be a good fit for that particular company. So the reason why you want to investigate a company is to evaluate whether you would be a good fit, if it's a good fit for your personality, your work history, and your work ethic. And you may not be able to know fully after your interface interview with the team, but still it's so important for you to do the research to learn about their mission statement, their values, their achievements, and why they do what they do. When you do company research, it does give you a little bit more relaxation in the interview. It's normal to be nervous during your interview, but when you research the company and you review your resume, you know what's in the resume, you've reviewed the job description, then it's a little easier for you to actually take that interview. So researching the company helps reduce stress, and it shows that you're interested in the company. That's something that you always want to make sure that you communicate to the person that's interviewing, that you are interested. And next, there are trends in the industry. And this would be about job classifications or terminology about specific jobs or associated job responsibilities. An example would be, since technology is forever changing, including how I'm coming to you today, giving you this training through the workshop, technology is always changing. We're able to virtually reach out to many counties with this particular workshop. Using outdated names for advancing technology may not advance you in the interviewer's eyes. It's like if you tell someone that you need to program your VCR or listen to a cassette on your Walkman. This would show that you're not up to date with your technology or the use of its equipment. So search tools, they make all the difference. Some job sites are better for certain job titles, and we'll cover a little bit more about that later. In your handout on your research page, there's a link there for GCF Learn Free. And remember, using technology is very important because it changes so much. That particular website, you can really brush up on just about anything that you need to know. You can learn about the cloud, you can learn about PowerPoints, you can learn about Word, Outlook. There's so much that's available to you. So if you need to brush up, if you need to learn about QuickBooks, it's just a severe amount of information that's available to you and helpful in this particular process. One of the main things in your job search is to remain positive. What may initially seem like a failure may prove to be the best thing that ever happened to you. A small percentage of job listings will end up being right for you, but don't stop applying to everything that seems to be applicable. Be sure not to apply for anything that you're not interested in. I know that you have to meet requirements for the unemployment, for your benefits. Just don't apply for anything that you know that you really wouldn't want to do. You'll find yourself looking for a job immediately afterward, or you'll be pretty miserable. Look at every interview as a victory and as a learning tool to become better at each interview. And we'll take a little bit more look at how you can actually do that. And we like to talk a little bit about the networking. And networking is the most underrated tool for the job seeker. Everyone knows about resumes, cover letters, and interview skills, but networking is key. And this tool is not just regulated for LinkedIn and other social media, it's a life skill. While you're in your career mode, networking is your best friend. Everyone is a potential referral, and each connection should be handled with sincerity and integrity. So let's talk about the definition by Oxford Dictionary. The action or process of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts. That's your process and definition for networking. Why should you network? According to PSU Student Affairs, networking is not just about who you know, but who knows you. You already have many contacts that can be the basis of your network. So if you have 6 friends and your 6 friends have friends, and then your next 6 friends have friends, and you go on, you already have your network. Think about the best networking experience you ever had. And why would it be necessary for you to consider networking during your job search? Crafting a 30-second elevator pitch would be best for you. And then 30-second elevator pitch is just a brief summary used to quickly define a person, their services, and their products. And it helps you to answer that question, tell me about yourself. That's only the beginning of it. But on that link that's on your research page, gcflearnfree.org, there's information. You can actually learn a little bit more about a 30-second elevator pitch. So think about who can be in your network. Before I talk about who can be in your network, I want to share with you what networking is not. Networking is not the amount of friends on Facebook or followers that you have on Twitter or Instagram, nor the amount of connections that you have on LinkedIn. When you choose people to be in your network, you want to choose people that you can serve and that can serve you. It's not just about having a group of people that you know so they can see how many connections that you have. Please note that out of 89% of recruiters, they have hired individuals that have receive jobs from LinkedIn postings, and that is pretty valuable. So networking is not for your career furtherance to the detriment of another person or off of someone else's back, meaning the benefit of the relationship should be mutual, real, and friendly. And networking is not as successful without an in-person, face-to-face contact. If you're at the grocery store or you're at the garage or wherever you're traveling, be mindful that you are networking or have the opportunity to network. Let's talk about how and with whom you should network. I'm sure you've begun to already think about whom you should network, but how you should network, shake hands with an individual at an event or when you meet someone at a job fair, reconnect with someone to have lunch, maybe an old colleague, a friend maybe that you haven't talked to in a while. And networking can be the most effective when you actually make contacts with individuals. People who will be recommending you for potentially hiring you want to know you as the person instead of the persona that you portray on social media. So, who can you network with? Peers and family and friends, employers and faculty members, information sessions, such as if you're going to the Career Links or the Literacy Council Center or Juniata Workforce Center, all these places that you actually travel, you can actually do some networking. You want to connect after the career fairs. And when you do connect with someone, then get their business card, follow up. This is important because if you do see a particular job and you have a contact, you have that person that you can reach out to just to let them know that you applied for a particular position. Networking sites to make meaningful connections. Again, you have your LinkedIn, which is a professional website. So which plan do you use for what? Social media has a huge presence in people's life, and we'll just sort out the best for the circumstance. LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a premier platform, networking, job information, and job postings. So even if you think you don't need to be on LinkedIn, you should be. You create an account and get started making connections. You manage what you put on LinkedIn. I know some people are not as comfortable posting information. You determine what you want to put on LinkedIn and who you want to connect with. It's just important that you have a social media presence during this particular process. Keep your information current on LinkedIn. And just note that a huge percentage of individuals do gain employment from this particular website. Indeed is next, which is the most popular one. And you also have Career One Stop, Career Builder, Glassdoor, Snag a Job, and Monster. There are other platforms too. These sites have two things happening here in particular: job search, and they're super friendly. So LinkedIn and both Indeed are really super friendly. You can post your resume here and be sure that your resume is updated if you've made any changes. And we recommend that for your online resume that you not post your address. Use just your email and telephone number for your contact information so that your information can remain private. Remember, everyone and anyone can actually see your information. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, pretty big social media sites that you can actually use. These platforms make or break your chances, especially if your potential employer searches you. And most of them will. A lot of times you may have gotten rejected, not even knowing it, only because the potential employer has done some research and seen some things on Facebook. But a positive note about the social media giants: 15 million people have found jobs through Facebook, 8 million through Twitter. Although LinkedIn statistics do not provide the numbers, it's still a large number of individuals who were able to gain employment. So how can you impress your employer? Just promote positivity no matter how much you got to the place or how you got to the place where you are of being unemployed. Just talk about your teamwork and how you've been a great teamwork. Are you supportive when someone else achieves something? Are you positive during your communications with individuals? Speak highly of the people in your community and at your previous job. I want to give you a list of don'ts just so that you know what you can clean up before you begin your job search. Over 70% of employers say that they have turned down individuals because of something negative that they found on Facebook. Provocative, inappropriate posts, pictures, or shares, photos with your tongue hanging out of your mouth, nude photos, just things that are inappropriate. Drinking, drug use, or criminal behavior. Discriminatory comments related to race, gender, or religion. Bad mouthing previous company or fellow employees. That's a big no-no. Bad mouthing the previous employer, even if things didn't really happen the way that you hope that they would, or if there were hurtful things that happened to you at the previous employer, don't badmouth the company or the employees. Lying about your qualifications or a work absence, not something that you really want to do. Most of the information can be tracked through references, your employment history, all that does come to pass. Just your poor communication skills, what you actually post on Facebook. Sharing confidential information from previous employers, that's something that you really don't want to do. So although you don't work with that employer anymore or the individuals, if you were sworn to confidentiality, please keep things confidential. An unprofessional screen name, just being totally unprofessional with your tag name that you post, including your email. You don't want to have an unprofessional email. And then posting too frequently. When you're posting so frequently, the employer would begin to want to know what is it that you actually do with your time. So these don'ts are a bad idea for social media, but avoiding them in life as well will help to keep you on track. Review your accounts and remove anything and all traces of any job stunning behavior from your social media account. Resumes, cover letters, and job applications. Oh my. So you may think, why are these all lumped together? They're all interrelated. Most of these essential documents are requested and likely required to be created and submitted on an online platform. Most likely, they'll be screen sorted, accepted, or either rejected. It's become very rare that you can actually pick up a job application. And I'm sure some of you have experienced when you've gone in to pick up a job application and then there's this words that you hear, go to our company's website. So it's very rare that you can actually pick up a job application, but we'll give you some technology tips for success in submitting your online applications. So we're going to watch a short video. It talks about how to get your resume through robots. Some of you may have attended the resume workshop and some of you may not have attended. But the one thing that we do want to bring to your attention is the applicant tracking system. and it's used for large and some medium-sized companies. It's a screening tool. The reason why I'm talking about this before I mention what resumes are and why they are important, or even why you need a cover letter. How many of you do know about a resume, a cover letter, and know about interviews? Give me a thumbs up. How many of you don't? Okay, so you all know about resumes and cover letters and the purpose for interviewing. But most of you may not know about the applicant tracking system and how it works to get your resume through their system and to get it where it can be bumped up in the candidate pool. So the applicant tracking system is a paring down system for weeding out candidates basically in a pool, and they use keywords for search criteria. So if you're applying for a position, say in a law firm as an administrator, and the firm is requesting that the applicant have previous experience in legal administration, you must have it listed on your resume. You may have 5 years experience as an administrator, but if the applicant tracking system does not see one of the prerequisites that have been met on your resume, you could lose your chances of landing a job interview. Use keywords from the job description, the industry, have a professional resume. So we're going to watch a short video on what you can do to make sure that your application gets through the application tracking system. Now, I do hope that you jotted down a few things that you heard from the video. It's important for you to make sure that you use keywords from the job description and that you use the proper fonts. Now, and that would be Times New Roman. So you would want to make sure that you're actually using the proper fonts, making sure that you don't have any graphs. Some of you, I know you like to be pretty creative, where you actually have maybe photographs and everything on your resumes, and that you have some graphs. You want to really show that off. If you have graphic design experience and you really want to show that off, the best thing to do is to have it in your portfolio. You don't want to make your resume the graphic design. So those are some key points. Again, this link is available on your resource sheet, but it's important for you to know that these are some things that could keep you back from having your resume read. So we're going to talk about resume styles And the first two are the reverse chronological and the functional. The reverse chronological is one of the most accepted and popular, although we'll have another type that we'll talk about. But reverse chronological resume, it's done, of course, in reverse order. It includes your job titles, the dates of the employment, and a description. And it starts with your most current position to your past positions. And it works best for job seekers who have had steady employment or work history or previous employment related to the particular position that you're seeking. Your functional resume, it groups applicable skills into a functional category, and it highlights applicable skills and experience without revealing the lapse of employment. It works best for job seekers who have gaps in their employment history, little experience, or recent change in careers. And it's disliked by employers because they can't see when you started and ended the employment. They need to see longevity, but it can work well if you're changing careers. In your packet, you have the reverse chronological for Joe Oberon. This is the one that I had asked you to place reverse chronological on the top for Joe Oberon. And you can see for his resume, there is a summary of qualifications. And it's called a summary. Previously, we used to call them objectives, and it's still okay if you want to call it an objective, but it should read like a summary. The objective used to read that you wanted to utilize your skills to obtain a position. Your summary is going to read where you're telling the employer what you have to offer them. So it's not about what you want from the employer, it's about what you have to offer them. So a summary is just a lead-in paragraph. It's a concise statement summarizing your experience in areas of expertise, your technical skills or your professional skills, traits, and any distinguishments that would be relevant to the job. It can also include languages and special degrees and your communication skills. And then next you see the work experience. But because employers look at a resume between 5 to 7 seconds, I like to recommend that you move your skills after the summary and before your work experience. As you can see from this particular sample that you have, the computer skills are on the bottom. If computer skills are relevant to the job that you're applying for, you want to make sure that the skills are more at the top so that the employer can see what you have to offer. And then you see how it goes in reverse chronological order is in regard to the dates. Your other copy, which is your functional resume that I'd ask you to place for Miranda Lopez, same thing, it has a summary, and you would make sure that it reads like a summary, telling the employer what you have to offer. Again, on this one, you would move your skills after the summary so that they can see your skills. But here you see the categories of work experience that this particular person has or their skills. And it doesn't have the dates. As you look down for the work history, it doesn't have the dates. It just shows that this person actually worked there, and then it has their education. You just have to determine which would be the best for you. Your next one is the combination one, which doesn't really need much introduction. The combination is exactly that, a combination of the reverse chronological and the functional. And with the reverse chronological, it highlights your actual skills in the format that comes from your reverse chronological. And it's good for job seekers who may have those particular skills from another position and that they can transfer those skills into the new position. If they're trying to change careers to emphasize their transferable skills, that would be the reason why you would actually use that. And of course, you would still show your steady work history. So that's very helpful for them to be able to see. And this one is usually a favorite of the hiring managers or their recruiters. In your handout, you have a copy of Jamie Dungy, and this is your combination one that you marked at the top. So as you can see with Jamie Dungy, it has the professional summary, and they have the education at the top. And that would be because they were a recent grad. That's why you would have it at the top. And then it has the skills. On the bottom, you can see where it has the work history, and it does include the actual dates of employment. It is the combination of the functional and the reverse chronological. All resumes, though, your name should be prominent, which it can be at least 14, and you can have that in bold. You can even put that in caps. It should be one, not more than 2 pages. And your font size should never go below 11 font size. You should list only the past 10 to 15 years of your employment. So those are some tips for you in regard to the resume, and you would have to choose which is best for you. We're going to talk a little bit about your cover letter, and you do have a link on your resource sheet that talks about crafting your cover letter. You can refer to that, and that is on gcflearnfree.org. And to craft your cover letter, first, it has to be personalized. When you're starting your letter, you want to find out the name of the person who would be reading your information. It may be the hiring manager or the HR manager. If you don't know the title, you want to just address it to the hiring manager or the HR manager. If you received a name of someone, then you want to address it to that person. Sometimes it may be a recruiter, whatever's in the job description. If you do want to address it to someone, as far as the hiring manager, you can always contact the company and just ask who you can address that to. If they give you the information saying whom they want you to address the letter, then please do as they ask, address it to whom they ask. You don't want to use those outdated terms, dear sir or dear madam, or to whom it may concern. Those are outdated terms. So you do want to say dear hiring manager or staff selection team or whoever it is that they ask you to address. And it should be pertinent. Your resume should be relevant to the job description. And the best way to do that is to make sure that you actually address it based on what they're asking for. So your resume should, your cover letter should talk about why you're applying for the position, what the position is. So if you saw it on Indeed or Glassdoor, you want to talk about that. Where you saw it. Did you see it out on PA CareerLink? Where did you actually see this particular position? And then you sell yourself. Why should you be, or why are you the best candidate for this particular position? So just describe your past experience, your education relevant to the particular job description. Request action on the part of the employer. If you're going to ask them to schedule you for an interview, or you like the opportunity to schedule for an interview, or you look forward to hearing from them to schedule an interview, let them know that you have an expectation. Point it. Just be concise, straight and to the point. A cover letter is 1 page, short paragraphs, and a cover letter is not a repeat of your resume. The cover letter is where you have the opportunity to tell them why you are a good fit. The cover letter should be partnered with your resume. The cover letter never goes out on its own. If there's no place for you to upload the cover letter, because sometimes it'll have a place for you to upload your resume, and then it'll have a place for you to upload your cover letter. If you don't have that option to upload your cover letter, then save your cover letter in with your resume. So when you send it over, they'll be able to receive both, and you'll have that opportunity to make sure that they have your cover letter. Again, you can check GCF Learn Free. There's a link, also a video to talk about crafting your cover letter. So employment job applications, they run the gamut, and there's certainly a range, simple, online, paper. They all come with either an extensive online assessment with requesting behavioral test. You want to treat each application individually and enter the most concise, complete information. Fill in the blanks, be accurate, and be truthful. Keep the information relevant to the position. A great many online applications do use dialog boxes. You may want to create a digital document with all of the sections needed for uploading your information. And then this becomes your copy and paste document. This can be a huge time saver. All you'd have to do is cut and paste that information in. This would be information that you frequently use, that you're frequently filling out. Instead of typing it manually over and over, you can actually just cut and paste that information in. And be aware, online applications, some of them time out. Be ready to sit and complete the entire application. And when you complete the application, be prepared to have an assessment that would follow. Usually once you hit submit, the next thing you would actually have is an assessment. So those are some things. This is part of the normal process of your job search. So in your handout, you'll have completing an online application. There's some tips, and on the back of that, it has the job application. You can refer to that later. It certainly is important for you to dress for success as you are doing your interviewing. So just on this screen, I just want to show you really quick. You see, this is business professional with the suit, and then business casual. Then you have your business professional and your business casual here. You see that she has a portfolio. You don't want to go into an interview with a big bag with information. This is a portfolio that would have her resumes, the copy of the job description, and certainly her reference sheet and anything that would be pertinent to the particular position. You see that their outfits are nice and crisp. Their shoes are nice and shiny. Polish them. You don't have to run out and buy a brand new pair of shoes. This jewelry is very suitable for what she's wearing. She doesn't have any big jewelry or anything on. It's not bulky. So just pay attention to that. So it's just really important for you to get yourself prepared for your interview. Have your things ready the night before. So I have a true or false question for you all. The average employer knows whether they would hire you after meeting with you for only 10 minutes. If you believe that, give me a thumbs up if you think it's only 10 minutes that they believe that they will hire you. Okay? A thumbs down if you believe that it's only for 10 minutes. Okay, great. Good response. You're right on the thumbs down. The average employer has decided whether or not to hire an individual only after 90 seconds. So think about that. This is a good way to consider the amount of prep time that you should be putting in to prepare for your interview. So starting with your actual preparation to what you are going to actually wear. You want to take it seriously. So thank you for your participation on that. We're going to talk about some valuable information to help you in the interviewing process. So PA CareerLink and the PA Career Guide came together for this next handout, the interview and the big interview. And we'll watch a short video so that you can see the source. Again, this source is going to be in your handout for you to be able to refer to later. But let's take a look. You do now have the actual handout. What it talks about the big interview, and then it also talks about the interview. It is worth your time to register at CareerLink if you haven't already, and really take an opportunity to navigate through the big interview. And before I go to the big interview, I do want to actually talk to you a little bit more about some other sources that would be really helpful for you. Certainly the big interview, Career One Stop, and Career One Stop, it has valuable resource information in many ways, and they have many pages on their website dedicated to interviewing process as well. YouTube, definitely you can find information about interviewing, and you will have to weed through some of the not so good videos, but you want to keep watching because there are established firms that have reliable resources. And your PA Smart Guide, the PA Career Guide, it's a Pennsylvania labor and industry resource that addresses all aspects of the job search. And you can have access to this PDF by accessing the link that's on your page. And what we want to do now is take a look at the big interview, what's inside. This is really a great site. It's interactive. You can actually be on camera. So here, what you would actually do first is in a big interview, we would come up to the top and under practice, it has practice interviews, interview roulette. It has answer builder, and it has the question library. So these are playbooks, and these playbooks are a series of short videos by a professional coach that addresses nearly every situation that you may find yourself in when you're pursuing your actual position and when you're preparing for your interview. This gives the perspective on how a grad would approach their interview, or if you're having a career change, or if there's a career gap, if you're someone returning that is a veteran or an executive at a senior level, even if you're an introvert, each of the multi-course lessons walk you through every situation that you can think of. It is an excellent tool that you should really explore. So for the practice, that actually gives you practice. This offers you options to practice interviewing, and the answer builder also gives you questions. Now, the roulette one that I mentioned, the interview roulette, it actually will give you random questions so that you can practice thinking on your feet. A great site. So you're welcome to stay after the workshop and explore. You do want to make sure that you register. And remember, in your handout, you have an interview checklist. These are some things that you want to take a look at before you actually go off to your interview. Salary negotiating. Say you've made it and you've been given an offer. Again, you want to go to the big interview so that you can see information that they provide to talk a little bit about how to negotiate your salary. So you would go out to CareerLink, the big interview, and negotiating curriculum. They talk about that. Career One Stop, interview and negotiating section, negotiating your salary. And in Robert Half, they have a blog, How to Negotiate Salary After the Job Offer. American Association of University for Women, they actually have a salary negotiating workshop. You'd have to register for this one, but they're all very good resources, and the link can be found on your resource sheet. All of those resources can be found on your resource sheet, whether you are job searching or if you want to gain support, if you're trying to overcome obstacles, learn about continuing education, anything that you need to know, you can find it on these resources. If you have any questions, you can ask your room moderator to give you some direction. They'll actually do that. I like to encourage you. I've been where you are. I've been right size, downsize, outsourced, right fitted, all those terms that the employer uses to say that you're out of work. And each time the process was different. One of the things that you do have to do is stay positive. No matter what happened, you want to stay positive through the whole process. And you want to connect with your resources to your career links, your literacy council center, your Juniata workforce center. Most importantly, treat your job search like it is a job. It takes a while sometimes to find the job that you're looking for. Utilize your resources. Thank you for your time, and I wish you the very best.